What is up, everybody? How is it going? Austin prechtelevate Performance, coming at you live. Happy, I thought my dogs were growling, but it was a truck outside. Happy Tuesday. Hope you're having a good day so far. Hope you're having a good day so far. We're going to jump into this. I'm going to keep this brief, short and sweet to the point, but I'm going to give you guys three quick, really easy tips to make sure that you get your protein in. And why am I focusing on protein? Well, that typically is the most difficult thing for people to get in. For most people, some people are really good about it, but it's also the most important, one of the most important macros for somebody's weight loss or fat loss journey for a variety of reasons that I've talked about in the past. And if you have any questions about that, feel free to message me about it. But that's not what we're going to focus on about why protein is important. But we're going to talk about how to get it in. At the end of the day, how to get your protein in. So, like I said, as you're tuning in, let me know how your day is going. Feel free to drop a comment so I know you're here. If you're watching this later time, hashtag replay so I know that you saw it. But let's jump into this. So, the number one way to make sure that you're going to get your protein in at the end of the day, right, is to plan ahead. That's the first thing, first and foremost. Is planning ahead helps a ton, whether that's in the form of meal prepping or basically just having an idea of what you're going to eat for the day, whether you put it in MyFitnessPal ahead of time or you write it out in a journal, just to kind of give you a framework that's going to ensure, hey, like I'm going to be getting this much protein in today. You're going to be more likely to actually make it happen. So that way you're not making these last minute meal decisions, which typically don't have a lot of protein in them. Okay, so the first thing is plan in advance, right? Plan in advance. It's going to help a ton. The next thing that I will say that's more practical advice. That's just not just me telling you like do this thing, which again that will help a lot. Planning in advance will help a lot, but setting an actual goal, like right, like yeah, you're telling me to eat more protein or planning my day, but how much should I be kind of striving towards? It differs per person. It differs like depending on your goal, but at the end of the day, a good general rule of thumb is striving towards anywhere like and split amongst 3 or 4 meals, 5 to 8 ounces of lean protein per meal is a good kind of general rule of thumb, or anywhere from like 30 to 50 grams of protein per meal. It's going to pretty much guarantee and ensure that you're going to hit your protein goal for the day. And just so you guys know, any extra protein that you do consume that your body doesn't necessarily need for repairing muscle and other body functions, it's just going to get turned into carbs. So at the end of the day, it you know unless you have digestive issues or things like that, you're not going to do any harm, eating too much protein as long as your calories are in check at the end of the day. Okay, so 30 to 50 grams of protein. Well, what's that kind of look like, Austin? Like, maybe you don't have a food scale, right? If you do have a food scale, use your food scale. If you don't, though, and maybe you're out to eat somewhere, right? And you're like, I want to eat healthy while I'm out. I want to eat within my macros and try to, be a good job, do a good job while I'm out to eat. The palm of your hand, right? And everybody's kind of differs, like right, like this is within probably like 5 grams. Maybe if you're Shaq and you've got enormous hands, obviously it doesn't apply to you. But the palm of somebody's hand is around 20 to 25 grams of protein. So that's kind of like a good general rule of thumb. So like a lean piece of like chicken or steak or pork or whatever it may be, like if it's a lean protein source, you can assume that it's going to have probably around that many, like 20 to 25 grams of protein if it's about the size of the palm of your hand. So if you can eat 1 to 2 palms of your hand worth of protein per meal, you're going to be pretty much guaranteed to reach your protein goal by the end of the day. So that's something to strive towards if you're not coming at it from a super structured way, or like I said, if you're out to eat and you don't have your food scale or something like that, that can be a really helpful way to make sure that you get your protein in, and to have a good rough kind of tally or estimate of how much you've got in for the day, right? So that's my next tip, right? Like use the palm method. It can be very, very helpful, especially in a pinch. So number three, right? Protein shakes. And not just protein shakes, right? Everybody's like, do I need protein shakes to reach my goals? No, you don't. But they can be very helpful, right? Because they're essentially just like, super concentrated, like, powdered or liquid protein. And you can get a lot of it in a very short period of time. But not only to say to, drink protein shakes, because, it is good to get a diverse, diet of where your protein sources are from, whether it be red meat or plant-based or things like that. It's good to get a variety, so that way you're getting your micronutrients in. But not only using protein powder or shakes, but using them more creatively, right? Like most people are like, I don't like protein shakes. They taste weird. One, there are plenty of really good tasting protein shakes out there with a variety of flavors, but there are some protein shakes that are gross, and I don't like them either. So like, don't knock it till you try a couple of others, right? At the end of the day. And then the other thing I was gonna say is, use it creatively, right? You don't have to drink it in just a shake plain as it is. You can mix things with it. You can throw PB2 powder in it, which is another great source of protein because it's basically like peanut butter flavoring with the fat removed and just mostly protein. It's just isolated there. So, you can use that, do that. You can create protein oats, like you can proats, right? You can mix protein powder with your oatmeal, and it'll add some flavor to it. And it'll also make it like super filling and satiating, and have a lot more protein in it than normally would. You can make protein pancakes with protein powder, super easy. You can make smoothies. You don't have to just have it straight up. You can mix some, peanut butter or banana or whatever it may be. If it's within your calories and macros, you can do these things to make protein powder or shakes suck a lot less. You can make lava cakes. Like there's so many things. Like look up creative protein recipes. We've got a ton of them in our private group. We got some cookbooks that we've made for our clients. But like there are so many ways that you can use protein powder creatively that makes it taste a lot freaking better. And if it tastes better, you're probably going to be more likely to eat it and not avoid it and reach your goals. So you can make protein ice cream. Like I said, lava cakes. Like they're super easy, like minute to 2 minute protein powder lava cakes that you can make in your microwave. That's like super freaking easy. It's at the end of the day, right? If it's convenient, it's probably going to work a lot better for a lot of us who are busy. There are creative ways, and there's things like that you can do to do this for your kids too, right? To help your kids get more protein in their diet. At the end of the day, it just comes down to being creative, not only for your family but also for yourself. So I hope that this is helpful. These are my 3 tips for helping to get your protein in easier, making sure that you're getting in at the end of the day because it's super important. Like if you're trying to lose weight or if you're on a fat loss journey or a fitness journey in general, and you're not getting your protein in, like you are not only limiting your results in terms of how your body recomps itself, but you're also like slowing your progress down because at the end of the day, you're going to lose a lot more muscle than you otherwise would have if you kept your protein intake on the higher end to ensure that you don't lose a lot of your muscle and to ensure that you stay full. And it's going to increase your chances of actually reaching your goals because you're not going to quit, because you're not going to feel extremely hungry all the time because you're only eating carbs all the time, right? Start shifting your diet towards more of a high protein diet, and you're going to have an easier time than what you might be right now reaching your goals. So it's good for your health, right? Get your protein in, everybody. Get your protein in. It's pretty much the American diet, and most people have no freaking trouble hitting their carb and fat intake, right? But protein, it's a tough one for a lot of people, and so that's why I wanted to come on here today and do this live on 3 ways to ensure that you get it in. So hope that was helpful. Let me know your number 1 takeaway in the comments down below, and I will talk to you all later. Have a good ass rest of your day, everybody. Bye.